Nosing is a major part of experiencing whiskey. But making the connection of what you smell and the name of that smell can be pretty tricky, if not downright frustrating. Identifying aromas takes practice, and a nosing kit is a great way to help hone in on what those smells are and learn how to make that connection. Today, we'll talk about how to use a nosing kit and to help train our brain on being able to pick out those aromas for your next dram. And I'm going to show you how to make your own DIY style. I'm Leanne, and this is Scotch on the Bayou, where we talk about the wonders of Scotch whiskey and the flavor of life in Louisiana. And today it's all about the DIY and nosing kits and get our smellers in gear for enjoying our drams. So let's talk about nosing the whiskey. And really, what does that mean? It means smelling it, right? Smelling, just simply breathing in the aromas the dram has to offer. And Scotch, like many other whiskeys, imparts certain aromas that add flavor to the whiskey. And what we smell is responsible for 80% of what we taste. I mean, think about that for a minute. And that makes sense because say you have a cold and you're all stopped up. Well, you can't smell very well when you're all stuffed up. So your taste is off generally when you have a cold, right? It's because you're not getting the receptors. The nose, the olfactory receptors aren't firing to be able to connect with your taste buds to say, hey, that really tastes normal or good. And unfortunately, a lot of folks have had to deal with loss of smell and taste due to COVID. And sending out great juju from the Bayou to all of you all who are still struggling with that. And perhaps this might help those who are trying to get those senses back in order. The smell is also tied to memory. For example, you may have a dram and you get fruit and spice, and that may trigger a memory of your grandmother's pie, say an apple pie with tart apples and cinnamon and butter. And then you're able to make a connection between the memory, the taste, and what to call it. Other times, it's difficult to put a name to that smell. And here's where a nosing kit helps, because it can help train your brain to associate certain smells with that name. So this is one of the bottles. That's licorice. A few years ago, I got to experience the masting blending course at Glengoyne distillery in Scotland. And before we even started mixing and blending, we stepped through a series of aroma samples so that they could determine my ability to be able to pick out aromas before we even started. Because the art of blending has more to do with smell than it does taste. The experience was so cool, and I wondered, now how could I get this same thing at home, to help boost my ability to make the connection between what I'm smelling and what it's called, look at tasting notes and be able to say, yeah, I see that, I can pick that out, I recognize that taste, or I recognize that smell based on what I'm getting off the dram. Nosing kits are available commercially. I did the Google search and I looked around to see what was available, and they're there, and they're geared specifically to usually wine or bourbon, maybe some other whiskeys. But for the most part, they're pretty expensive. They're $100 to $500, and that's quite a few bottles of whiskey. I think I'm gonna spend my money somewhere else. So I decided, there has to be a way that I can make one myself and have it be fun. So for about $40 and some time, I made one DIY style. And So check out the description below for some links. I'm gonna have quite a few, I'm gonna have a couple of handouts that you can download that have the instructions and the list of all the items you need to make your own nosing kit. So here's what you're gonna need. 24 glass jars or bottles. Now, I ordered these off of Amazon for about 14 bucks, and I like how they're dark green glass, so I can't really see what's going on inside. A link to those are down below as well. You'll need numbered labels 1 through 24, 2 sets, a cotton balls, a chopstick for getting everything down in that little bottle, an emery board to help open up some of the aromas on some items. We'll get to that. In a box, could be the one the bottles came in, or a storage bin or something fun you want to use. And then a variety of spices and aroma items. And again, the handout will have my list, but the sky's the limit. And keep in mind, you may very well have most of these items in your kitchen or your bathroom, and anything else you can source. We have a wonderful store here in Baton Rouge called Red Stick Spice, where they sell spices in bulk, and the staff was super helpful and perfectly fine with me going in, getting a tiny amount of a lot of different spices. So check your local area for a spice shop. Now here's my list of what I think is most often mentioned in many of the tasting notes. Again, this list is in the handout, so don't worry about having to write everything down. Cinnamon, allspice, cloves, cacao nibs or cocoa powder, lavender, eucalyptus, orange peel, vanilla, almond, honey, malt tea, leather, tobacco vinegar, camphor, ginger root, black pepper, iodine, liquid smoke, wintergreen, molasses, cardamom, licorice, and roses. Again, the sky's the limit. So with my master list of items, it's time to assign a number to each one of them. Now, I've included the link to the PDF to this document and to the test document we'll talk about in a minute. But I like to mix the numbers up and around so that I'm not thinking of a pattern of one all the way through, just kind of haphazardly putting that around so I won't remember it later. And then next, you want to take your labels and place one set on the bottle caps and another on the corresponding number on the bottom of the bottle. And this will help keep things in order in case your lids get switched around by mistake. Now, assembly is pretty straightforward, right? Follow your master chart for number in the item and place a little bit of cotton in the bottle. Then place your scented item or drop of scented oil, whatever, onto that cotton. Top it off with a little bit more cotton so that you really can't see through the bottle. And this helps make it a true blind challenge. Now keep going until you're all done with all the items you want to use. And you can store the bottles in the box that they came in or spring for something a little fancier. So I have a question for you. Do you struggle identifying aromas in your whiskey? If so, let me know in the comments below. And also what you think about this project. You willing to do it? What are other ways that you have built up your nose skills? So we've got the kit together. Now how do we use it? We'll have another PDF for you. It's a nosing test form. You can download that from the description below. And basically it's just open 24 blank spaces. It's open-ended and guessing, not multiple choice. So you don't have hints. You have to really concentrate on what you're smelling and get it down on the page. So go through each of your bottles, take a sniff and try to think about what it is you're smelling. You want to go through each of the bottles and record your answers. And if you're not quite sure about one of them, just put it to the side and go back and try it later. Just get through all of them. The ones that you feel really good and confident about, put those answers down, then go back to the ones you skipped over. If you feel like your nose is a little overwhelmed, you've all done the trick, right? Where you smell your arm, it kind of resets your nose, and then go from there. Okay, all done? Awesome. Now it's time to see how you did. So go ahead and get your master list and your test form, compare those and see where you hit it or you flunked out. If there are scents that tripped you up, then those are the ones you can concentrate on. Now pour yourself a dram and take a look at the tasting notes. But understand, big caveat here, that aroma and taste are very subjective and personal. What one person writes about what they're experiencing with that dram is not necessarily what you're going to experience. It's generally in the ballpark, but one person's thoughts should never dictate what your experience is with that whiskey. Just as one person may love broccoli, another will not. Our tastes are our own. So read through the tasting notes, and if there's something that the reviewer is getting that you're not, is that aroma now in your kit? Well, if so, find that scent and say, okay, work your way through the scent that you're not getting off the tasting notes that the reviewer says is in the glass, and smell that, and then go back to the dram and see if you pick that up. If the influence is there, and sometimes you have to kind of go back and forth, trying to see if you pick that up. So for example, if the tasting notes say there's a lime peel, well, we don't have lime peel, but we have orange. It's citrus. Can you get any citrus off of that? And at least it will help you get in the ballpark. Here's today's Lagniappe, a little something extra. The next time you're in a store that sells candles, stop and smell them. Note the label first before you open the candle up. It's blueberries, it's vanilla, it's orange, it's cinnamon. Cinnamon apples is always a good one to start with. Note that label and think in your head, like in your brain, what should this smell like? And then take a whiff. Just don't stay there for 30 minutes or the store manager may ask you to leave. Just a word of advice. Now, we chatted about nosing and how it relates to the overall experience of whiskey, but I want to know if there's a particular scent that you have trouble picking out. Leave a comment down below and let me know what that is. We'll try to troubleshoot some different things in the real world to help get that into your mental smelling vocabulary. Making your own DIY nosing kit is pretty fun. It can be done in bulk with a group of your whiskey buddies and can even make a really great gift. I hope you had fun with that today and you enjoyed this video. So please give it a like, please subscribe, tell your friends about it, and until next time, Slange y'all. That's licorice.